When I started doing the Journal Fodder Junkies Daily Challenge and I decided to do it as an ebook, one of my first thoughts was that people could, purchase it, and since it's a PDF, that they could print it out. But when they print it out, they could print it out with 4 pages per sheet, and that's exactly what I've done here with part 2. Some of the pages you might want to skip whenever you print them out. And if you're not sure how to print them out, 4 pages like this, I have a separate video that shows how to set up Adobe Acrobat for that. But what I thought was that these are kind of the perfect size for challenge cards. So you could print them on cardstock. If you're a teacher, you might laminate them. You can print out multiple sets for your students. And the words are big enough that they're pretty easy to read. Even the general public. You don't have to be a teacher. If you purchased the ebooks, you can easily print these out. And what I've done is I've already gone ahead and I've cut up the first part. So what I've done is I've chopped them up and have created these challenge cards. And what I've done, I've already gone through and picked out, because I'm going to use these challenges to create, or at least to start a 2-page spread in one of my journals. So I've picked out challenge, these are all from the first ebook, part 1. So challenge 29 is watercolor lift. I can challenge number 21, scribble. 23 is random collage. Challenge number 5, watercolor pencil activating with water. 12 is stenciled words. And 16, those were the 6, I think there's 6 here. So my plan is to use these challenges to begin some work. Okay, I've gathered all the materials that I'm going to need to start using these 6 challenges. So I have one of my little journals that I've been working in. This is a 5.5 by 8.5 mixed media journal. And then I've got my 6 cards that I'm going to use to kind of help me with what I'm going to make. And one of those is using watercolor. One of those challenges is watercolor. So I have a small set of watercolor plus a paintbrush, some water. And since I'm going to be lifting it, I'm going to be using a rag for that. One of the challenges is to use letter stencils. So I got some of those, some hard plastic stencils that I can use. Another challenge that I picked was random collage. So I've got my Uhu glue stick and I've got my scissors to cut, but I also have this brown paper bag that I'm going to use. I'm going to cut that up as my random collage. And I've got some extra blank paper here that I'm going to use as glue paper so that I don't get glue all over my workspace. Another challenge is to use watercolor pencils, so I have those right there. And another of the challenges is to use rectangles. So I have my Uniball Vision ink pen that's waterproof, and I'm going to use that. So I've got all my materials. Let me clear them out, and I'm going to go ahead and kind of start working on a 2-page spread. Okay, I spent a little bit of time kind of putting these in the order that I want to use them. That way I can kind of figure out exactly the best approach for this. If you wanted to, you can make it completely random and just, pick out a different card each time that you wanted to do a new technique. But I'm going to go ahead and start with the watercolor lifting. And with this, I just want to paint on a collar and then use my rag to kind of lift the collar. So I'm going to take some water and get some paint. I really want to mix it around and kind of get a dark color. I want to paint this on quickly so it doesn't really have time to dry. So if I take my rag, maybe I want to wrinkle it up a lot. I'm going to press it down and I get sort of a texture from it. You can see how it's lifted some of that paint. So anyway, so that's the lifting. Now I want to let this dry, and I'm going to use a hair dryer. to make that go quick range. So the next challenge card that I'm going to use is the random collage. And with this is really about finding unusual or mundane things that might just be lying around. So I took this brown craft paper bag that I got from buying something, and I'm going to glue it in. So I cut it into a strip, and then I think I want to go ahead and trim off just a little bit of it, so that way it kind of fits more on the page. Alright, so I'm going to cut that off, and then what I want to do is to glue it down. Again, I can kind of keep it random, maybe glue it right there. So I have just a scrap piece of paper. This is just a blank little sketchbook of cheap paper that I've had laying around. I'm going to take my glue stick, and I use just the Oohoo glue stick. And this is blue, but it will dry totally clear. And so what I'm going to do is to spread it all over the back. And so this scrap paper just really keeps my surface clean, keeps glue from getting all over the table or all over my journal. And it also allows me to spread the glue all the way around. So once I have it covered with glue, I take it and place it in my journal. Kind of rub it, get it really stuck down well. Okay, so my random collage. For the third step of this two-page spread, I am going to use challenge number 16, which is rectangles. I think what I'm going to do, I could do this with any material, but I'm going to go ahead and do it with my trusty ink pen. So I use the Uniball Vision pens a lot. I get the ones that are fade proof and waterproof. And all I want to do is to draw some rectangles. I can do as many as I want. I can put them anywhere that I want. And some rectangles. Okay, for the fourth one, the fourth challenge, I'm going to use challenge number 5, which is watercolor pencil. That's one of my favorite materials. So I've got my watercolor pencils here. I think I'm going to use a dark umber pencil. I could do this in lots of different ways, but I think I'm going to use these rectangles that I used earlier. And this will kind of help me create some structure and kind of reinforce that composition. I don't really have to worry about being too neat and tidy with this since I'm going to use water. So I'm going to activate the pencil with some water. And so I just take and scrub some clean water over the pencil, and you can see how it spreads around. Okay, so I'll let that dry, and I'll probably use a hair dryer again to kind of make it quicker. Okay, my page is nice and dry, so I'm ready for the next challenge to kind of layer on top. And this time it's going to be challenge number 12, stenciled words. So I'm going to use the stencils that I have. You can use any kind that have letters. You can even have your own hand cut ones. So I have these nice thick ones. I can use any material. I'm going to go ahead and use my red Uniball pen. And you can use one of the other challenges. A lot of the challenges are big ideas, or you can kind of use your own. So I've been writing a lot lately about impact that word impact has been coming up a lot. So I'm just going to use these stencils to stencil the word impact onto my page. There's the I, the M, okay, so stenciled words, impact. Okay, now I'm ready for the last one. This challenge is the sixth one that I'm going to use to kind of help build this up. This is scribble. So sometimes people think of little kids scribbling, but I'm not really going to do that. What I want to do is to add some scribbled lines, and I can do that with lots of different materials, but I think I'm going to go back to my watercolor pencils, and I'm going to use some red here. I think I'm going to add some scribbled lines, and I'm not just going to scribble scrabble as the little kids say, but I'm just going to let the pencil go all in different directions just to let it meander around. I'm trying to be kind of controlled with this. Okay, so that quickly I have some scribbled lines. I'm going to use my paintbrush just with some water and to activate that red. So I can scrub pretty hard with the brush and obliterate those scribbled lines as much as I want. But I want to keep them to some degree, so I don't mind if they fade a little bit, but I don't want to scrub them completely away. Okay, I'll let that dry, and using those 6 challenges, doing watercolor lift, uh, random collage, rectangles, watercolor pencil activating it with water, stenciled words, and scribbling, I have a good start. This is by no means anywhere close to being finished, but I have a good start, and it didn't really take me that long to get a pretty nicely layered 2-page spread. So thank you. I hope you enjoyed it.